guys, sun is bright today. I feel alive again. I was wicked sick on this couch for 4 days, but I'm better now, well enough to now do this video, which I'm super excited. I wanted to talk about henna and natural dyeing, and I'm actually going to be doing that today. And I've only done henna / indigo for an extra black color. And the last time I did it, it was amazing. It came out so well. I was so happy with it. The only thing is my hair felt really dry afterward, and I was kind of upset about that. It was dry, like crunchy, dry. My hair is really sensitive to apple cider vinegar. I use it for clarifying and things like that, but it can be really drying for my hair, as well as lemon juice, which are two big components of when you're using henna to dye your hair. Indigo starts to kind of fade over time, so my hair is starting to turn a browner color. It's been about 6 months because the color really stayed the last time I did it, so I really did love the method that I used in the recipe that I created, but I'm just going to be making a couple changes, so we'll see how it turns out. I hope it turns out as well. There are a couple things you want to think about when you're buying henna from anywhere. You want to look at the ingredients, because a lot of times we hear the word henna and we automatically assume that it is natural and it's going to be safe for us to use, and that's not always the case. You want to look for contaminants such as PPD, which is paraphenyl something, but PPD is the abbreviation that's often used. Like colored hennas, where they're like, get your hair pitch black with just henna. If they say that it's a henna that dyes your hair black, it's not possible. If it has indigo in it, I'm not entirely sure the ones that are mixed, how well they work. The two-step process tends to be the best way to go about getting a nice black in your hair. Claims that it can dye your hair black. There's a chemical dye in it, and it's usually PPD, and it's extremely toxic. Other contaminants you want to look for is lead and pesticides, iron oxide, which is actually illegal in the United States, but for some reason it's still making its way into the henna that a lot of us buy. The moral of the story is look at the ingredients. It even says all natural henna. Check thoroughly before you invest. The two-step process is basically you henna your hair first, and then you dye it second with the indigo. So you use the henna to naturally lighten your hair, and then you put the indigo in to darken it. That's the method that I'm going to be doing today, and I'm going to show all the details, the whole process, the recipe, all of it. So you guys are going to be with me for the next 3 days, and I say 2 or 3 days because I want to show the after results. So meaning, once it's been washed and dried and twisted, and I'm experimenting a little bit too. I want to have a mild ombre effect going on with henna, and I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to make this work, but I want to use the henna on my whole head to lighten, and then just put the indigo on maybe, this much hair, and leave the ends to see if I can get an ombre effect using henna. Wouldn't it be great if we could do that, guys? So there are a couple of things you want to do before you get started, which is grab some really black tea, and you're going to steep it in a cup of water for 10 minutes. The tea helps to make the henna come out darker. Then you're going to grab your henna. I am choosing this Rajasthani jasmine henna. It is formulated for those who have sensitive scalp and hair, which I do. It's not going to make the hair as red. It has a lower percentage of lawsome. Lawsome is the natural active ingredient in henna that makes your hair redder or not so red, which is the case with this one. You're also going to be using some lime. You want it to be nice and fresh. Apple cider vinegar. I am not going to be using nearly as much, but I am going to be using a little bit today. And this is everything. You pretty much got all of these ingredients. Grab a ceramic or plastic bowl. You do not want to use a metal bowl. It doesn't react very well. Measure out a cup of your black tea. You're going to then juice your lime so that you get 1 tablespoon's worth, and then another tablespoon's worth, so 2 tablespoons fresh lime juice, and then you're going to use 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Mix it all together so that it's blended. pour that mixture on top of your henna. And I like to do it in sections, so I pour a little and I mix a bit, and then I pour some more, and then I mix a bit. I kind of poured all of it the last time, but you can do that in sections some more just to get a better distribution of the apple cider vinegar lime juice mix. Then I added a little more water, and then I splashed 1 last tablespoon of apple cider vinegar on top, and you can actually see the color change. It happened pretty quickly. It's going to be a creamy consistency. I'm going to put this in a plastic bag and then try to seal out all the air. You want to make sure there are very few air pockets throughout it. You need the dye to release overnight. And you just put it away. It looks kind of like a pie here, but it's not a pie, which makes me sad. While it's doing its thing, you're going to grab some Thai, well, it doesn't have to be Thai kitchen, that's what I have. You're going to grab some coconut milk. And the coconut milk, this one is light coconut milk. I wanted a thick one, it's all I had. But it is going to be used to add some extra moisture to your hair. I'm using a 1/4 cup of coconut milk. And then I'm going to juice the remainder of my lime and put about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half of the lime juice in with the coconut milk. Mix it up a whole bunch. And then I'm going to pour it. I don't know why I used 3 different containers. I guess I could have done that in the measuring cup, but whatever. I put it in a container that I can then put in the fridge, leave it overnight. So both of them are going to marinate overnight. It's the next morning and it's done. It looks like poo. Grab some plastic gloves and cover wherever you're deciding to do this. Make sure you're using a towel you do not care about or newspaper. Mix up the henna. Check your coconut milk lime juice mixture and pour it into the henna. You don't want to do this the night before. Coconut milk and lime, putting it in right before you do the henna does something to the hair to make it soft, reduce the dryness, moisturize and condition. So do that then. We're getting into it now. We're going to finger detangle our hair a whole bunch and separate it into 6 sections. Grab towels that you don't like, cover yourself. Actually, well, we got to wash our hair first. So I'm using Frederic Fakai's Au Naturel shampoo. It's the sulfate-free shampoo and Shea Moisture's restorative conditioner. I'm going to use this in sections. So I'm going to wash it, rinse, and then condition, but very mildly, not too crazy. Gently comb it through, twist all the hair up. Then I am ready for my henna situation. I am going to put some oil around the base of my forehead, my ears, back of my neck, everywhere that the dye, the henna could potentially get, and I don't want. Put my gloves on. These sucked. They were way too big, but it's all I had. Take out the first knot and try to get out as much water as possible. So it's just damp. You don't want it sopping wet. And then I'm going to start from the base of my hair, working from the tips to the root and getting the henna everywhere. Like really try to get it thoroughly through as much as possible. This reminds me so much of my relaxer days. You just want to make sure you're smoothing it all on there. And this time it doesn't matter if you get it on your scalp though. It's not, there's no chemicals, so it's totally safe. And then twist the hair all the way to the end and knot it, put it into a Bantu knot for safekeeping. Repeat it on the other side. You basically get the idea. You just want to make sure that you get it through the hair as thoroughly as possible. And then you're pretty much done. 6 sections that are fully thoroughly hennaed, and you want to grab plastic bag and put it over your head, tying it thoroughly, making sure you get all the little baby hairs. I always miss them here and there. Make sure it's all under there so that nothing dries out, and you're pretty much done. I'm going to put a hat on to add extra warmth because something I read somewhere says that makes it henna take better, but you might look crazy. Other than that, I'm going to reseal up the henna that is left over for later use. And then I'm going to put a timer on so I know when my 4 to 5 hours are up. Once that is done, I'm going to jump into the shower, wash your hair thoroughly. It's going to take a little while. Be patient. You've got to make sure you get all of it out. And the results, you can actually see here, there are little sections. I've got some gray hairs that just started popping up out of nowhere, but you can actually see the grays. that are now orange, so it works really well. Okay, the moment has come. It's time to put the indigo in, but we got to prepare it first. So, you're going to take your indigo and you're going to mix it with this CMC powder. I don't know what it's short for, but it is there to make your indigo less grainy. We're only going to be using a half of a pack, and that should be enough for hair that goes down as far as mid-back. I'm going to mix it in dry, and then I'm going to take a quarter cup of water, although make a full cup, because you might need more. I used more, and make a nice salt bath for your indigo. You're then going to pour it in the same way I did with the henna, a little bit at a time, mixing as you go. And like I said, I could have used more water than I did, but use more. You can tell. Try to make the consistency a little creamy. It's not going to get as creamy as the henna, but it should be creamier than how it turned out here. You're going to be applying it, and you can see it's still a little too thick, but you'll be applying it. It still worked to your hair. Get some oil just like before. I'm using sweet almond oil for that. Start applying the indigo. Apply it thoroughly everywhere in the same exact way we did with the henna. And wait, we are now going to do one thing that's different. We are not going to twist all the way to the end, and we're not putting any indigo on our ends. We're taking the leftover henna, getting some oil on our hands. I didn't have an extra set of plastic gloves, so I'm using my bare hands. Probably not the best idea, but yeah. Get 2 pairs of gloves for this, and then twist your ends with that henna on it. I made 6 pieces of strips of plastic that I am going to use now individually to wrap the ends. I'm going to do the same thing all over my head, and it might get a little confusing, but that's okay. You'll work it out, and then wrap it up. Now my hands are a little brown and weird, and it gets to wash out in a week, maybe. I'm going to take a plastic bag and tie it once again on my head, and then I'm going to go to bed sleeping with the indigo in it. So I'm going to take a silk cap, and that's black, and I don't mind if it gets a little color on it, and put it on my head for bed. This is a hair cloth that I use to protect my pillowcase so that I can sleep soundly. The next morning, you are in the shower washing everything off, and you are done. This is pretty much the finished product. I think it looks really great. The ombre didn't come out as much as I would have liked, but it's obviously on the left, brownish red. On the right, it is pitch black. I'm hoping the ombre will show a little more as the indigo rinses out, but I'm really happy with it. So that's pretty much it. Thanks to you guys. I will see you next time. Bye.